again, I appreciate everybody that comes on and share their thoughts, you know what I mean, and listen, to mine, and the guests that I bring on. This is something that needs to be ongoing, at all times, because there's so many suffering that's still out there, and there's so many families that are still hurting, and not seeing their their loved ones and all, thinking they just don't care. That's not the real deal, for everybody. I'm going to say that, for everybody. Disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. Hey, Rom. And it works through people, places, and things, and it takes us through a dark place. It puts us in a very dark place. And I don't care how strong we are, how strong you think you are. Y'all know me. I'm like, Hercules, but that thing slowed my butt down. You hear what I'm saying? And not only did it slow me down, it put me down. For quite some time in that tunnel, man. I walked right into it and kept walking down in that hole, y'all, and couldn't get out. You know what I mean? So I had to do the necessary, by getting beat up, because I wasn't convinced. I had to hit that rock bottom, we called it, and surrender and went in that rehab, and from that point, I've learned how to stay clean. I thank my higher power for that. It put me back in contact with a higher power, whom I choose to call God. It strengthened me. It feeds me every second of the day, just knowing that I have a God, greater than myself. And to thank him for helping me to restore my sanity. I know y'all can hear it in my voice a little bit. Yes, I'm a little weak tonight, but I'm okay. You know what I mean? I'm just going to, go off the head as I usually do, with another session of Tracy Allen, Living in My Truth. For anybody that was actually coming on, expecting for Clinton to be on. Unfortunately, he could not make it, due to circumstances at work. Hey, Faith, how you doing? Yes, suffering in silence. It's a lot of folks. It's a lot of people. And you know what? I'm just here to tell them that it's okay. You know what I mean? Help is always available, in our lifestyle. We just have to want it and ask for it. It's always there. It's all over the place. You know what I mean? I'm really interested in starting a group, Living in My Truth group, to be honest with you, that we can come out and we can meet, at a hall, you know what I'm saying, and meet, get together, all together, for the ones that are suffering. You know what I mean? It would be for them, you know what I mean? But I will continue to have the live on, because in our world of recovery, some things is just confidential. You know what I mean? And when you have people who's trying to open up, and want to talk, sometimes they can't do it like we doing it like this. You know what I mean? They don't even want to show their face most of the time. And we can come on here and we could bust it up. Some is just stronger than others, and what works for one may not work for the next. Hey, Letty, any of you who are suffering, you know what I mean? Stay on this live. It's not just this live. You have different numbers that you can call, and places you can go. You can go to NA, you can go to AA, submit yourself into a rehab. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm telling y'all. Hey, Ron, nothing is wrong with getting help. But first you have to know that you need help. And then you have to know that you want help. And then you have to know that you're ready to accept help. You know what I mean? All these, little synonyms mean something, because disease is so cunning, baffling, and power. It'll put you in a spot where you can't even think enough to make your choice or your decision, in a rational style. So, This is what we're on here for as well. It can help you to hear some things, understand some things, and get comfortable. You know, if you on here, you see all these people, you know, that's on here willing to share, you know, with you and to give good suggestions and talk about themselves, you know, just to let you know that this is family. You know what I mean? It's no nonsense. It's no fraud on here. This is an authentic live, you know, on the lifestyle of drugs and alcoholics, you know, the still suffering, you know, mental health, you know, whatever, you know, a smoking addiction, gambling addiction. Hey, Margie, you know, is on here from whomever need it, because I'm gonna tell you, those are steps, you know, and a lot of the sharing that we do can help almost any addiction, you know, and I'm quite sure some of you are on there because you realize that and recognize that too, you know, and it's okay today. You know what I mean? It's okay today. You know, some can't share like I share. Some can't share like some people come on here and share. You know what I mean? For me personally, you know, somebody that got sober helped us. You know what I'm saying? They helped us get our lives back. You know, so we owe it to the still suffering, you know, to offer what we have back to them. You know, but that's to each his own, you know, for, you know, whoever it works for, it does, and whoever don't work for it, don't. You know what I mean? But I know me, I'm a soldier with this thing, and I'm a soldier for this, you know, thing, you know, so I can help somebody else, you know, as I was helped, because I am so graciously grateful, you know, to be able to sit here, hey, Cynthia, and to be able to do this. And Rochelle, how you doing? I'm so grateful. What's up, Marquise? It's my baby, Marquise. Hey, Lori Ann. Love y'all. What's up, bestie? You know, Lori, I started to call you today because Clinton couldn't come on. You know, he couldn't make it. And I said, Dad, I should call Lori to come sit with me so I can show some things and she can sit here and bust it up with me. You know, but the traffic was so bad on 495, girl. I'm telling you, I just got in the house 10 minutes before I started this live. You know, if I had to go on, who's that? Margie? Margie said, thank you for helping me. Hey, Marge, you know you my girl, honey. You know how we hustle. You know that's what we do. You know what I mean? You helped me too. You know, I want you to know that. You helped me too. You know, Margie, that's Margie Barksdale, everybody, that I'm speaking to on a one-on-one right now. Margie's been clean for quite some time. Awesome job with staying clean. She has a lot of information and education, you know. So, you know, if you see her, you know, talk to her. You know, she has a lot to offer, and that's for sure. And thank you, Marge. Thank you for you being on, and thank you for saying those good words to me. But really, all I did was what I'm doing now. You did the work, baby girl. You did all the work to stay clean. You know, all we give is information and education. That's it. The rest of the work comes from you. And that's for any and all of us. Hey, Cent, you outside? You know, that's another thing. You know, a lot of us, you know, some people that comes through, you know, recovery and you know, they put some years in, you know, and you know, recovery is all about change. It's all about changing your thinking, you know, and actually giving back. You know, we all can stop using drugs, but we all can't change our thinking. You know what I mean? We'll change it enough to the point where you think it's enough, you know, but it's never enough, because each day is a new day and you know, don't know what to expect in that day. You know what I mean? And different situations can come up on you. Like I'm dealing with a situation that just blew my mind, y'all. I can't discuss it at this point, but when I tell you blew my mind, you know, it's a lot of hurt. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of, you know, shock. It's a lot of disappointment. You know what I mean? It's a lot of like just disbelief. But you know what? I have burnt my brains out with trying to deal with this situation. Of course, y'all know I go to my 12 steps, of Narcotics Anonymous. I say my prayer, and I pray, that, all can come out well with this situation. I just can't speak on that as what it is, but it will come a time where I will share this, you know what I mean? Because guess what? It's a part of my story. It has become a part of my story, and something that I would have never expected, but I have to deal with it, and like you said, the story just goes on and on and on. You just don't know what it's going to be. You know what I mean? Yesterday, I didn't think that something like that would happen, but it did. You know what I mean? So I have to learn how to live with it and deal with it daily, and it's called healing, and being honest and truthful and taking care of the situation, and that's who I am. That's all I can do, and that's what I'm going to do, but, coming on this live, y'all give me so much, strength. Y'all give me so much inspiration. Y'all help me. Like I said, this is just not for me. I mean, you all is for me too, and just knowing that I'm with family and sharing with family and helping somebody, and of course I'm open to help, with my own situations, is just a godly feeling. It's a great feeling, because I'm gonna let you know I've been feeling real bad, and for a situation, you know what I mean? And it's like heavy on me, but it's getting lighter. It's getting lighter because I just have to come to the light of it. You know what I mean? It's just hard to accept. That's all. And we have to be able to accept the things we cannot change. Have the courage to change the things we can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. And that's implanted in my heart, mind, and soul. So I know I'm gonna get through what I'm dealing with and what I have to get through. But it goes, things can go all the way back, in some time, and you just don't, you just don't expect certain shit, but it do. What is that, Rama? That's Cynthia. All praises goes to the Father. He is our healer, and this too shall pass. And you know what? That's 100. That's 100. You know what I mean? But we got to go through the process of it, and process it, before healings actually start. I'm a person, pain is something that I endured for a long time, from a little girl all the way up, you know what I mean, wearing masks. But I wear no mask with this. Believe me when I tell y'all, I wear no mask. I just have to be open, and do what needs to be done and what I have to do, But, yeah, y'all pray for me, though. I just can't, pull out what this actually is, because it's not a using thing, or it's a personal thing, so, and, there's others involved, and I don't want to, bring things up, if it's not okay with all of us, but, I'm all right, though. I'm gonna be all right with it, that's another the good thing why I feel so good about, being in recovery, because recovery has given me the value of life that I have. You know what I'm saying? And it has allowed me to grow, and how to basically count on God, and let God do what needs to be done for me and guide me through situations that become, real heavy for me, recovery has given me integrity, is giving me honesty, is giving me fearlessness, and it, like I said, it gives me a relationship with God, and I count on all of that. You know what I am? I am who I am. I love who I am. You know what I mean? And I know, I have to accept the things that I can't change. You know what I mean? And change the things I can. And have the wisdom to know the difference. I done made a lot of mistakes in my life, y'all, a lot of times. You know what I mean? And I've accepted them and changed them, as I will continue to do, but change change is hard sometimes, you know, and I don't have a problem with changing. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying when you can't change something, you know what I mean? Hey, Sevilla, what's up? I am prayed up, bro. Believe that. I am prayed up. Hey, Ange, my friend, you know, I'm definitely prayed up with it, you know, and I'm really getting stronger with it. You know, that's why I'm able to come on this live today, you know, because this live gives me peace, and look at all this good information and this support and this love that I'm receiving, you know, and that helps me to have my patience and just get stronger, you know, with a situation. Hey, Daria, I want to announce to everybody, again, my guest couldn't come tonight. He had a situation at his job and he couldn't get off to get here. So Clinton asked me to, you know, to apologize to everybody for that, as I am, you know, but stuff happens, you know, when you work in our field, you know, it gets that way. And unfortunately, he's not going to be able, he couldn't even do a video, you know, or we would have done a video, but he will be on. We're going to make another arrangement for it. But as the weeks go by, I have other people that's going to be coming on, guests, you know, that's going to be sharing, you know. My thing to end that part of me is I'm just going to stay focused, y'all. I'm going to stay consistent, and I'm going to keep moving forward, you know, in dealing with this situation, you know, and I'm going to leave that alone, you know. Again, like I said, you know, it could be anything that needs to come up on this slide. We here, you know what I mean? I'm here, we here, and we all have something, you know, to share, and a lot in common together. We have a higher power, you know what I mean? And we know prayer, and we know that God works. So, you know, just the support that you all has given me through that little segment of what I was saying, you know, has made me feel absolutely awesome. You know, because sometimes you just can't keep things, you know, holding to yourself. You know what I mean? You need to discuss them, you know, and even though I can't come out with the actual problem, you know, because it's a situation, you know, but you guys just gave me medication is what I'm going to call it. You know what I mean? Because I had to say something, you know. Hey, Shell, how you doing? That's Reverend Michelle Primo, y'all. That's my cousin, you know. Is getting lighter just by just sharing it. You know what I mean? And because holding it in takes its weight. It takes me down, you know, and the shock of it all is just like crazy, you know, but it's cool though, you know. I'm gonna go through some of this that I've been you know, writing some things down. So just in case something like this happens, you know, I can go from the gut any and all the time, but sometimes I need to keep the learning, you know, in this, you know, and to give, you know, that guideline, you know, information to you guys, you know. I always keep saying, you know, y'all, it get on my nerves, but I can't help it. You know, to keep saying, you know. That's my son. That's Celine coming right through me. I couldn't stand it when that boy used to say that all the time. Y'all mean, you know. Y'all mean, you know. You know, but, y'all, can ask me questions, because that's what I do want to get involved in. I want you guys to start asking information and asking questions, and it could take, you know, our conversation to, you know, another level, you know, and I can know that I'm helping you, you know, by answering some of your questions, and anything that I can, you know, answer as an addict, aka junkie, aka recovering addict, I will. You know, I can only give you what I've walked, what I've learned, and this is why I do the talk. Hey, Anye and Chrissy, how you doing? You know, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that 12 step again, y'all. Cynthia, you said you have, let me read it on here. You have the God in you. That's why you are glowing, though through whatever it is. God is right there with you, beautiful queen. Thanks, Scent. You know what I mean? I needed to hear that, and that's good to hear, because you know what? I know he is. You know what I mean? I know he is, and I am giving it to him. You know, but I still have to process the situation. You know, Rabia, hey Ahmed, how are you? You know, hey Anye, what's up, girl? Love you. What my chance doing? You know, that's Anye. That's my daughter-in-law. You know, she has, if I ever watched the story on Chance. That's my grandson. That's my youngest son's son. You know, that look just like him for real, Anye. You know, I said I was gonna go through some of this that we've been through already. You know what I mean? Because it's never too much or too little to hear. You know, and we need to always continue to go over and over and over this information all the time. You know, just speaking on, look, every page I turn to, y'all, is talking about pain. It's so crazy. You know, everything I put down here, you know, has that in it, because it's such a big part of suffering, you know, in disease. You know, it's such a big part of suffering when you hurting. You know what I mean? Pain is vicious, you know, and they say no pain, no gain, you know, and that's real. That's real. You know, if you can't get through the pain of something, you know what I mean? The gain is hard to get through, you know, because you have to process and digest things, you know, and again, sometimes it's not good to do it alone, you know, and for me tonight, this live is right on the money. You know what I mean? Pain changes people, you know, it makes you trust less, you know, and my sickness will be like, well, Dad, God, I mean, why you put so much on me, you know, right now? You know what I mean? I'm thinking like, oh man, I'm getting my life together and I'm living in my truth. You know what I mean? I'm trying to come clean, you know, because it's the most beautiful feeling in the world. You know what I mean? The cleanliness turns into loving yourself. The cleanness turns into loving people. You know what I mean? The cleanness turns into purifying yourself. You know what I'm saying? And do what God asks us to do, and the way he wants us to live, and the roads that he has for us, you know, to do his work. You know, people say to me sometimes, girl, that's your pastoring. I'm not a pastor. I'm truly not. I'm just a grateful recovering addict. You know what I mean? And I don't say that to be like, no, that's not what I am. You know what I mean? I'm just a person who can talk this talk, you know, and walk this walk, and be bold and beautiful and proud about doing it. You know what I mean? Because I know that is needed. You know, I know my conscious contact with God, you know, I promised him that I would give this back, you know, and this is what he put in front of me to do, you know, so I'm just living up to my word, you know, and love my God, you know, and in ways to let you know that he works, you know, he works real hard for you. He works good. My phone is saying battery, but I have it charged in, y'all, and I don't want it to go off. Excuse me a minute. You know, God works. God works for us. He does. You know, he watches us. He prays us. He puts everything, you know, in front of us, you know, that we can't, you know, like too much that we can't bear. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just believing in him and having that faith in him, you know, is one of the greatest things that anyone can receive. You know what I mean? I know that wholeheartedly today. It says, Stacy is saying, Stacy Love, yes, a recovering addict that's sharing your testimony. Absolutely. All of it is based off of a religious program. I definitely believe that. Sharita said, God is amazing. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And your testimony is in our world, in our language, is just sharing. You know what I mean? We try to make it simple, and being honest and truthful. You know what I mean? It's part of our surrender. Chrissy is saying, yes, God is good, and prayers really work. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Sometimes, I want to question it. Like, even with my situation, I want to question it. I want to question it so bad, but it is. So I'm just asking for, his love and his help to get me through it. You know what I mean? And I have to give it to him, and let him work. You know what I mean? Let him work. But on the same time, we have to do what we have to do, our work. You know what I'm saying? You're saying Chrissy said your test is your testimony. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm understanding that. I'm understanding all of that. Jody Out Loud. What's up, girl? Hey, y'all, look. Jody Out Loud is awesome. She has almost like the same type of podcast, live podcast that I have on Monday nights. Y'all have to check her out. And I'm going to go on and share for Jody. I love her. I just love her way of thinking. You know what I mean? She is vicious. She is awesome. All of us have a word. All of us have the way to spread the word, and to give our truths, and our information and education to, you all, and is still suffering. You know what I mean? And she is absolutely awesome. Y'all show Jody some heart. She is definitely a special guest on this live tonight. Definitely a special guest. And here's some hearts to you, Jody. And thank you for recognizing me and asking me to come on your show. That's a gift from God, y'all. That's another reward, from living in my truth. Jody, wow. Thank you, LOL. Monday nights on my Jody Out Loud page. She's saying 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's awesome, y'all. It's so real and it's so live. And anymore, when I notice it, I don't tend on missing it. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing? Jody is saying, this is great. Thank you. Can't wait, for you to be my guest. Her guest. Hey, y'all, this is big for me. This is real good, and I'm feeling it, because this is how all this good information and education can just go to thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands more people. You know what I mean? To spread this word, and to share our strengths and hopes, with everybody. I'm going to send Jody some more hearts. Matter of fact, this goes to everybody, Hey, Michelle, my cousin Michelle Primo. You know what I mean? I want Michelle to come on here too, because my cousin is an awesome servant of God. You know what I mean? And she inspires me. Her, Treese, they all inspire me. I understand religion more, with trusting in them to tell me what I need to hear and teach me how to go into the Bible. You know what I mean? I have to get into that part, and I know that's what God is asking me to do. You know what I mean? But I'm going to get there. I know my cousin can come on here and have some awesome conversation, for all of us who's pretty much, needed, for that. Just because, it's like religion, you know what I mean, still accepted on this show. Because what works for one may not work for the next. You know what I mean? And I'm inspired when I watch their lives. You know what I mean? It's teaching me to become more and more and more conscious of God. You know what I mean? Who I choose to call my higher power. Who is strengthening me and waking me up every day. You know what I mean? In recovery, we don't pour any religion on anybody. That's your choice. You know, we don't make you say that this is God and this is God. God is a God of choice to you in recovery. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's an option for you. You know, you have people that are atheists. You know, like I said, y'all know my story. When I first came in, hey, look, I lost all conscious contact with God, you know, from a little girl, because all the things that I had to deal with and was, you know, been through. I didn't think God was working for me. You know what I mean? Because nothing was being answered for me. Prayer just went out the window. You know what I mean? And I was raised in church. I was raised, you know, believing in God, you know, but it just didn't seem to be reality to me as you know, Michelle is saying she will love you, cousin. We'll get together for that. And your husband. You know what I mean? Her husband is also a pastor. You know what I mean? All of us made changes in our lives. And that's something that we all can share with each other. You know what I'm saying? You know, what's for one may not be for one, may not be for the next person, but it's for somebody. And this live is for everybody. You know what I mean? In situations that we deal with, you know, mostly into the drug and alcohol, you know, thing. You know, from day one, you know, I bring it all on. I bring mental health on, you know, I bring on, you know, psych, I bring on it all, you know, because in our lifestyles, a lot of us gain mental health through it. A lot of us become very messed up and need psychiatric help. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us lose it. You know, we don't even know how to come back. You know, so I feel like anything that can help somebody is welcome to this live. Tracy Allen, Living in My Truth. You know, again, you know, some people don't believe in religion. I'm just asking you to be open-minded, you know what I mean? And what works for you out of this, let it work. You know what I mean? What don't is other people's work. You know, it works for other people. And we're not just a solo. You know what I mean? We all, you know, need this. You know what I mean? And we all love sharing with each other every Wednesday so far. You know, it's almost a year, y'all. I'm just so proud of that and so excited with this, you know, and for the amount of people that watches this. Hey, sis, what's up, Dion? What's up, sis? You know, I love you. You know, sitting on here talking, you know, a little bit about higher power, you know, and religion, you know, and becoming more closer to, you know, God. God has much patience for all of us. You know what I mean? And I'm learning that real well. You know what I'm saying? You know, and a lot of everything that has been coming to me. Hey, CC Brown, how you doing? A lot of things that have been coming. I don't know if you guys was on when Jody came on. Jody is another podcaster who's doing a great job. Y'all will see her on Facebook. She is absolutely awesome. And she connected with me. You know, we connected through each other through our Facebooks and through our, you know, words of wisdom that we offer. You know, and I'm going to be on her show, you know, real soon, you know, and I'm real excited to do that. You know, again, my speaker, Clinton Johnson, for the ones of you that are just coming on, he could not make it tonight. He got, you know, held up on his job, which he works in drug and alcohol just like me, you know, and these things happen sometimes and we can't leave, you know. So I just wanted to make that clear. You know, so everybody can know, but he will come on. We're going to set up another day, a Wednesday night for him. So he asked me to, you know, apologize for him, and that I am, but I'm still going to give him a shout out, and I'm still going to give him some of these hearts because I appreciate his effort in even wanting to come on. And I know he has a whole lot of info. I know he has a story, you know, that's going to help somebody, you know. But again, I was talking about that pain thing, man. Pain changes people. I'm telling you, pain changes people. Pain is it makes you not trust. It makes you trust less. You know what I mean? You know, is an emotion. You know, it's a strong emotion. It's an emotion that disease take a control of, or your, like I said, that subconscious mind. You know, I say disease is a subconscious mind that is dis-ease you know what I mean, that has that slash in the middle of it, you know, and some of us don't have a full understanding of it in this world, in our language. You know what I mean? I always say disease slash EASE, you know, is all this confusion, all this pain, all this hurt, you know, all this frustration, you know what I mean? It's all a part of that until you understand what disease actually is and how it works, you know, and for all that you learn and you hear, you know what I mean, and you accept, you know, and you receive, you know, that disease is going to go right into that word, DISEASE, understanding it. You know, what it is, how it works, what it do, why it do it, you know what I mean? And the power that it has. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. It is a sickness that is vicious. It is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And people don't believe that. Some people don't believe that this is a sickness, but let me tell you, from walking the walk, I'm talking the talk. This thing is vicious, it's crazy. And I know for a fact that it's in me. I know it ain't never going nowhere in me. And I'm going to have to always keep it in remission with the help of my higher power, you know, and with all the tools, you know, and the understandings that I learned to learn how to keep it in remission. You know what I mean? I just didn't do this by myself. I did it because people got sober and learned what disease was, and they helped me to understand what it is. And that's why I'm helping you to understand what it is. And we got to keep on and keep on and keep on spreading this word. We got to spread this information any way we can get it, any way and by any means necessary. You know, hey, Gilda, you know, welcome on, Gilda. You know, so, you know, pain is one of disease, chocolate bars. You know what I mean? It's this chocolate bar. That's how I'm going to say it. It loves sweets. It loves nasty. It loves to make a mess. You know what I mean? It changes your mind. It changes your thinking. It changes your soul. It changes your belief. You know what I mean? It keeps us in this world where, you know, we really don't want to be, but we still there. You follow what I'm saying? And we have to understand that pain is all a part of it. You know? And I'm not trying to just say this. I have to practice what I preach. You follow? And sometimes I get stuck because I'm human. You know? We get stuck. You know? But when you start really loving yourself, you gotta come all the way clean, man. You gotta give up all the nonsense. And I call the nonsense weight. You gotta give it up. You know what I mean? And know that people are people. You know what I mean? One person may not be like the next person. You know what I'm saying? We may think differently. You know, we may even see things from the eye differently. We may hear things differently. And that's why a part of this recovery is learning how to hear, listen, so that you can hear and able to see with honesty, surrendering and trusting in yourself and having a belief in a higher power that will help you to restore your sanity. Because all of us got a little bit of sanity up there that's out of whack, up there in that matrix. You know what I mean? What I call that matrix. You know, some of the pieces to the puzzle don't go right in the right spot. You know, and sometimes you could think that you grab the right piece and you put it in the right spot and it's in the wrong spot. You know what I'm saying? So we have to evaluate ourselves. We have to take moral inventories on ourselves. You know what I mean? We have to put more prayer in. We have to make more meetings. You know what I mean? We have to discuss this thing. You know what I mean? With somebody. You know, so it won't be judgmental on selfishness from ourselves. You know, I hope y'all still on tack with where I'm at and what I'm saying, because y'all know I get to rolling and it get to be rolling. You know what I mean? Then I got to get on my P's and Q's of this real thing, because real growth is when you start, you know, checking and correcting yourself, you know, instead of blaming others. You know what I mean? You know, or you got to take your power back, you know, by being responsible for your own life. You got to take your power back by being responsible for you. You got to take an inventory and say, well, wow, is this worth it? Is this like, do I have, you know, where's my part? You know what I'm saying? You know, this is this whole situation that I'm dealing with, man. I'm taking inventory on me because it is that freaking crazy. I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? And this situation is so strong and it's so hard and it hurts so bad. You know what I mean? Talking and me getting this out. You know what I mean? Like I told y'all, I just can't say what it is right now. But believe me, it's a situation that I tell you, when I will share that with you, you're going to say, wow. You're going to say you did all the right things. You know what I mean? Even though disease is not trying to allow me to and getting in my way, you know what I mean? Because it's making me angry. And it makes me angry. And then I start hurting. And then that pain start coming in. You know, and then that's disease saying, I told you, I'm going to get you every chance I possibly can. I ain't going to let you live in peace. You know, I hear it talking to me. But I also hear my higher power talking to me too, saying nonsense. I don't even have to worry about that. All I got to do is keep doing what I know is right, you know what I mean, and keep giving it to him, you know what I'm saying, and keep praying on it, and this thing too shall pass, you know. I tell you, I love this life. I love this life that I'm living right now, and I'm loving the fact that I could take inventories on me, and I'm loving the fact that I could surrender, and I love the fact that I can listen, and I love the fact that I can hear. You know what I'm saying? And even if I still don't agree with what you're saying, it's just going to have to come to a simple fact that we agree to disagree. You know what I mean? But that don't mean that my love and my heart's going to change in any way for me. You follow what I'm saying? Because it's a selfish program. It's a selfish thing. And when weight comes along and weight comes in there, disease is being fed. You follow what I'm saying? And I have no room for it. I have no room for it whatsoever because I've been keeping it out of my life. You know what I mean? And I know that this thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I know that it will get me in the moment of what I'm feeling and where I'm at right now. But I also know I got a higher power greater than it. And I know higher power is going to take care of me. You follow? And I know by y'all listening, you know, me talking to sponsors, I have to do the same thing that I suggest for you all to do. I have to keep my sponsor in it because she's great. You know what I mean? And she puts me on a right D. She gonna tell me the real deal. She ain't gonna cut no corners. You know what I mean? And she ain't gonna try to make me a mistake. Believe me when I tell you that. She's going to all help me with everything that I'm dealing with so that I won't make another mistake in my life because I come too far. I come too far to where I'm at today. And I'm loving who I am, you know, and that love feels so good. It is so great. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose not an inch of it or a pinch of it. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm getting ready to get emotional a little bit again, y'all, because, you know, things I'm thinking about it as the same now as I'm talking about it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm okay because I know I got to let things out and let things go, you know, in order for me to heal. You know what I'm saying? In order for me to heal, you know, and this is going to take some healing. You know what I mean? But I'm not telling you that you know, things and situations like this is going to be easy. Is a challenge. It's a big challenge. Hey Janice, how you doing? You know, Donna, how are you? And Rachel, how are you? You know, y'all know me. I like to shout out names. You know what I mean? I like everybody to know that I do see you. Hey boo, how are you, baby? You know, I'm just going to tell you that, you know, I'm not telling you, you know, any of this is going to be easy, even for me. I know it's not easy for me. You know what I mean? I know that it's heavy duty. You know what I mean? But I know how I'm dealing with it is going to be worth it. I know believing in my higher power is going to be well worth it. You know what I mean? Because like I said, that's right, Stacy, transparency, you know, is what keeps you free. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I can't keep weight, you know, on top of me. You know, sometimes words is vicious and they sound real vicious. And sometimes people don't understand how I use words, you know, or what I say because they don't live in the life that I live in. You know what I mean? And in the selfish part of this program, you know, I got to be like, oh, well, you follow what I'm saying? Because I'm the most important person. You know what I'm saying? And for me, you know, so that I could stay well and I could stay, you know, healthy, and I could stay strong, and I could stay sober, and I could stay, you know, less painful, you know what I mean? And I can continue to grow. and continue to be happy, and accept the things I cannot change, and have the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And tonight, y'all, I'm telling you, I done made this thing all about me, you know what I mean? Because I'm feeling it, you know what I mean? And I need to. You follow? And I appreciate everybody on here giving me this good information, education, and praying for me, you know what I mean? And helping me get through what I'm dealing with. Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes just letting go gives us the power. You follow? I know that too. You know what I mean? Holding on can sometimes keep you in a dark space. It can keep you in a dark circle. So we gotta, let some things go, and give it to the higher power. We gotta do it. I have to do it. You know what I mean? But I have to let it go first. You follow? I gotta figure it out first. I gotta make sense of things. When something is brought upon me, in front of me, that makes sense, you know what I mean? But it's a disbelief. You follow? And I know that I have to surrender to some things, you know what I mean? And I have to let it go and move on in how to fix it, in how to make it better, because I'm not in this by myself. You know what I'm saying? And I have to respect other people's feelings and emotions, just for me. You know what I mean? I have to put it in me to say, okay, Tracy, it's just not all about you. You know what I mean? It's all, this person has feelings. You know what I mean? That person has feelings. We all have feelings. You know what I mean? And, a shock is like a stab in the heart. You know what I mean? And, shock is just something that disease is trying to eat up in me right now. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to let it. You know what I mean? Because I know I have to make sense of all of it. I have to make sense of all of it, and I have to face it. You know what I mean? I have to deal with it, and I have to do what's ever needed, to fix it, that is going to make sense, so, I'm just so grateful to be able to just share this tonight, y'all, on this live, and I can't, really say what it is at this point, you know what I mean? But you don't know how much that, this is releasing from me. I really need to do this, and I don't want to get high, that's for sure. You know what I mean? I don't want to use dope. I know that's definitely a no-no for me. No means no by any means necessary. You know what I mean? I say that all the time. Sometimes in recovery, like this is about drug and alcohol addiction and recovery. You know what I mean? And on this part, I'm speaking more full and blast on the recovery part of our lives, and how we still deal with the situations. You know what I mean? And we still have to use our tools. You know what I mean? We still have to do exactly what I recommend you guys to do. I got to do the same thing. You know what I mean? And, I gotta not talk the talk, you know what I mean? And not walk the walk, and I know that, a lot of good people, you know what I mean? Understanding people, you know what I mean? Religious people, you know what I'm saying? Is on this live. You follow me? And so far, all of you are giving me some awesome direct information. You know what I mean? I know I have recovering people on here who could feel me. They know where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? Because it's like we heart to heart, in recovery. We could feel each other's. We can read it right on our faces. You know what I'm saying? We can read it. And we know once we get it and we get off, you know what I'm saying? It got to be released. It got to come out. You know what I mean? Especially when you got all this goodness around you at this point. It's like every last one of y'all is sitting around me right now and we all on video. You follow what I'm saying? But I feel you so much. You know what I mean? Because I'm open. I'm open to you. You know what I mean? Like you're open to me on this live every Wednesday. You know what I mean? But tonight, y'all, I had to use a lot of this for me because I needed it. You know what I mean? And I had to share these things because I had to hear me too. You know what I mean? And when I'm sharing with you, I hear myself. You follow what I'm saying? You know, I'm feeling more of what I'm saying. And I know that I can't do it alone. You know, so thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, I'm going to send these hearts out because some of you's like, what? What is she thanking us for? I'm thanking you for just being you. I'm thanking you for being on this live, listening to me and listening to what I'm saying. You follow what I'm saying? You don't know how much you're doing right now for me. You don't know how much you are doing for somebody else that's just watching this thing. You follow what I'm saying? Because all we need sometimes is for somebody to listen. You know what I mean? Just listen. You follow? Because listening can help somebody. Listening can save somebody. Listening can help somebody make the decision and the choice of their life to make change in their lives. Listening is so great. It is such a power tool. It is such a power tool for anybody. Because sometimes that's all somebody just needs you to do is just listen. Listening is hard to do at times because we'll judge. You know, we'll cut off and we'll say, you know, it's before hearing out what's needed to be said. You know what I mean? Sometimes I do it myself. You know what I mean? I do it with my kids. I do it with my clients sometimes. And I've been working on that. You know what I mean? If you're going to be a listener and you're going to be a good listener for a good reason, listen. Whew, I like that. I like how I said that. There is strength in the community. Absolutely, cousin. Absolutely. You know, I just so want to, you know, put some of us together, you know, with all of our wisdom and knowledge and our blessings from our higher power, you know, and share in one place as a team. You know what I mean? You won't believe the people that it'll touch. You won't believe how the people will hear it in so many different languages and so many different tongues. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, you know, some people like us and addicts, you know, and alcoholics, some of us don't believe in church. Some of us go to church and be lit. You know what I mean? That's something that I won't do today because I respect God so much. I'm not going to go into a place of God and be lit. I'm not going to go into a place of God in a bad mood of where I can't listen, you know, for what I come for. You know what I mean? I just grown to this. You know what I mean? I can go when I'm in a sorrow. I can go when I'm in pain. I can go when I'm in a joy. You know what I mean? But I won't go under the influence. And you know, going to some of these places, I know people that be in there lit. You know what I mean? And that bothers me. But I can't keep allowing that to bother me from getting what I need to get to go to these places. You know what I mean? Because to each his own. You know what I mean? And they got the answer, you know, to God. And some of them, you know, might can hear a testimony that comes through there, like a person like myself, you know, and hear themselves in the testimony. You know what I'm saying? And know that, you know, disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. You know, but some places, you know, they just won't, they don't get together. They don't do these things, you know. And as far as places that I have been, you know what I'm saying? The only place that I ever got this from and got it raw and got it real is from each other. Every suffering addict and alcoholic today. You follow what I'm saying? That goes to an NA or AA group or have had experiences in rehab. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's what I know. You know what I mean? That's what I trust. So I have to build trust for these places, but if I don't go, I won't get there. You know what I mean? So I was just telling myself, you know, pray and ask God, you know, to give me the strength to go in these places because I got problems with some of them. I'm talking churches. I got problems with some of them, how I was treated through that. But now that I have the wisdom to know the difference and I have been, you know, since I've been in my recovery, it's the same thing. You know, it's the same old cliquish stuff. It's the same old looking your nose up at you and all of that. But today, I know better. I know that sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can't hurt me. And it doesn't matter what anybody feels about me because I love me and I know God loves me. You know what I mean? So I have to practice what I preach. And I have to move on and spread this thing out just a little bit more, you know, instead of just on this live. But, you know, you got to get a group of people together that's willing to do the same thing. You know, let's get together and help people. You know what I mean? We all do some of the same things. We go out and we feed people. You go out and you pray for people. I go out and I share for people. You know what I mean? All of it is based off religion and the program. You know what I mean? I know that my program is based off the religious program, and I know church is the place of God. You know, I know Islam in the masjids is a place of God. Everybody don't believe the same thing, you know, or the same God. But change is constant, and there's nothing constant but change. You know what I mean? I've been through quite a few of them. You follow what I'm saying? But when it all boils down to me, there's only one. There's only one. The one that I have my conscious contact with. Stacy said, come on here. Church can be rough for the recovering addict. Yes, it can. Yes, it can, man. They turned me out. They turned me away. You know what I mean? I'm not turning nobody away. I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? If I'm walking down the street and I see that you need help or you just need an ear, that's what I do. That's what I do. Hey, now, I haven't always been this way, but since I've been in recovery and I learned a way to love and understand people like myself, I don't put myself above these people. When I'm in that rehab and I'm working, they are just like me, and that's how I talk to them. I don't talk to them like I'm bigger and better and greater than them, because I'm an addict. I'm an addict, aka junkie. You know what I mean? And I surrender to it. You know what I mean? I have no shame in my game to talk about it. I ain't got no shame in my game to tell the story. I don't want my phone. It's saying battery charge, but I have the charger in it. I don't know what's happening, y'all. Let me check something out, because I don't want the phone to go off. Hold on. So I'm going to move it around a little bit and bring this closer to me and see if I can save this. You know, this thing should be on. You know, this charger should be working. You know, but truly, you know, I don't want anybody to feel, you know, like I'm better than them or I'm greater than them. You know what I'm saying? Because I got clean. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my world, and in my world is addicts and alcoholics. You know, I know that they can survive. I know that they can win. I know that they can get through this. You know what I mean? They just have to be told. They have to be given suggestions. They have to be cared for. They have to feel like they are being cared for, and somebody trusts them that will allow their trust to come alive so they can trust you. You know what I mean? We are sick people. We go through everything. Our emotions is shot down, cut down, stumped, buried, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? And some are sicker than others. Y'all follow what I'm saying? You know, you see some of us and you be like, I would have never thought you did drugs. Well, guess what? I did them. And I did a whole bunch of them. You know what I mean? I did a whole bunch of things because I loved it. I liked the feeling that it gave me. And at that point, learning in recovery today, I became a junkie then. You know what I mean? Because I chased that daggone high. I chased that beautiful feeling that drug gave me. And I never received it again. I never received it again. All I ever got from it was aches, pains, like I said, all the above. You know what I mean? Because all my emotions were shot down, locked down, put aside, and taken from me. All due to a poison, all due to a disease that is cunning, baffling, and powerful, that won't allow you to do what you know that you should do, or do even what you want to do, or to feel the hurt and the pain of it and still don't care at the same damn time. You know what I mean? This thing is mental. It's mental. And I always say, oh, I got a little mental up in my head, because I know I do. It lives with me, called disease. You know what I mean? Because I've accepted that. You know what I mean? I come to believe that. You know what I mean? I come to believe that this thing is vicious. It is cunning. It is baffling. It is powerful. You know, and I know it would come to me at my weakest points, when I'm sad, when I'm down, when I'm mad, when I just don't care. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching a movie. I'm asleep. You know, this thing is vicious. It comes through. It stays in. You just have to put it in remission, and you have to learn how to put it in remission. And once you learn how to put it in remission, you got to learn how to keep it in remission. You know what I mean? By using the tools and the regulations, which I call medication, instead of a Suboxones or any of that other shit that they want to give everybody. You know what I mean? And keep us sick. You know what I mean? I fight hard to stay clean, and I fight hard to live, and I fight hard to understand. But one thing I don't fight for anymore is loving me. I don't not love me. I don't have a inkling in my bones that tells me that I don't love me, because I got a higher power greater than myself, who has restored my sanity and allowing me to live, sick and all. You know what I mean? By making right choices, better choices, and most importantly, giving it back to the still suffering and alcoholics and addicts today. Ha! Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This thing is vicious. I hope y'all can see me. You know what I mean? I hope I'm not taking things off, and I hope that this charge is working, because I'm charged the hell up. I'm real charged up. You know what I mean? And I'm feeling what I'm feeling. You know what I mean? And I'm feeling that I'm going to fight this thing, and I'm going to fight this thing all the way to with love, respect, you know, and integrity. That's what I'm going to do, because that's what I was taught, and that's how I live today, and that's how I love the feeling, what I love the feeling from of it, just being who I am today, you know, and understanding that I have to deal with certain situations. You know what I mean? But one thing for sure, and I tell you really for sure, it ain't going to stop me from giving back what I know. You know what I mean? Because I get it in reverse just from doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? My voice is getting strong now. You know why, y'all? Because I'm feeling it. And I'm high as hell off all of this. I really am. And I'm fighting. And I'm fighting hard, and I'm going to continue to fight. You follow me? And it may get me and try to get me down a second from now. But you know what? I'm going to pick it back up, because I'm going to make sure that I don't sink in this. You know what I mean? I'm going to make sure that I use all the tools and the power that I have, you know, to keep my sanity restored. I promise you that. I promise you that. You know why? Because I surrendered. I surrender, and I believe in what I'm saying. I believe in the 12 steps. I believe in God. You know, I believe in Christ. I believe in a whole lot, you know, that gets me right. I'm going to get emotional again. You know what I mean? Because I am really speaking from the heart, y'all. I'm speaking from the real heart, and I'm trying to keep myself on top of water. Believe me, I am. I'm trying to keep myself on top of order. And I'm not going to allow this sickness to break it. Not at all. Not going to do it today. I'm not going to do it today. Not today. You know. And everything I'm feeling today, you know what I mean? I discussed it. You know what I'm saying? I talked about it. You know, I talked about it. You know. And like I said, I told y'all that recovery at times and dealing with situation at times is not going to be easy, you know, and I got to practice what I preach, you know, because it's not. Everything is not easy. Strong Trey, you know what I mean? Oh, Tracy Allen this, you know what I mean? Mom this, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's my girl. She did. She's built, she's strong. Yeah, but I'm human as well. You know what I mean? I'm human as well. And I fight a beast that's cunning, baffling, and powerful. You know what I'm saying? I fight a beast that don't want me to be this person. You know what I'm saying? I fight a beast that is sick, you know, is hideous. You follow me? And I have to stay on top of my ground no matter what I'm dealing with, you know, and know that this is an open door. Remember I said you can't give it a little squeak, because it'll squeak in. It'll creep itself right on in, and it'll work on you like it used to work on you. And the only way that dis-ease is going to be able to do that if I allow it to. And I'm not going to allow it to do it today. I'm just not. This thing done had me down for a few days. You know what I mean? I'm tired of feeling like I'm feeling. You know? I'm tired of feeling like I was feeling. You know? It's got to be fixed. It got to be done. You know? And life will move on. Just by having the wisdom to know the difference, and having the faith, knowing that my higher power is right there the whole time, and I believe that, and I feel that, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to let this thing get me down where I'm starting to, you know, questioning, you know what I mean? I'm not going to. But I still always, any and all of us as who are recovering people, have to be always on top of knowing that disease play a big part in almost everything that I feel, I hear, I see, you know what I mean, and what I listen to. Is just my choice to accept, you know what I mean, and my responsibility to make choices, you know, rationally or irrationally, you know. I'm thankful for my struggles, because without it, I wouldn't have stumble across my strength. You know what I mean? And to be able to face it. You know, I say God uses broken people, you know what I mean, like you and me, to rescue broken people like you and me. And God knows that's working for me tonight. You know what I mean? So I also know that that is a fact, you know, and it's true. And this is the stuff that I pump myself up with and I get stronger with, you know. Hey, Mary, you know, and I said to my soul that I'm still learning about what I have to do and I need to do, you know, but I'm going to give us more of what is promised for us to do that will help us. You know what I mean? And I love using myself. You know what I mean? This is just all a part of me using myself, you know, for, you know, helping others to learn and to see and to hear, you know, and to know that, you know, trusting, you know, in our higher power can build our strengths. You know, I believe in him more than I believe in myself. So, you know, when I give it to him, you know, and he gives me what to say and what to share, you know what I'm saying? It's just building me up. It's building my strengths up. You know what I mean? And I can release things, you know, and then I can focus on things, you know, better than I did yesterday or better than I did an hour ago. You know what I'm saying? I just got to put the gloves on now. You know what I mean? I got the gloves on now and I'm dipping and bobbing and weaving and punching. You know what I mean? But I'm stable, I'm steady, you know what I mean? And I know that this too shall pass, you know. Again, like I said, you know, I'm a little broken, you know, from my situation, but I'm getting stronger from it now. You know what I mean? And I know what I have to do. You know, I done been on them steps, man. Let me tell y'all, I'm on them steps heavy. You know what I mean? I'm on them steps heavy, man. I'm like, I'm taking a personal moral inventory on myself like I ain't never did before. You know what I mean? Some things just come easy, but some things digging for, man, takes you into even more shit you wasn't digging for, that you didn't even know was still was there, still was down there. You know what I'm saying? And it touches deeper emotions, you know, to a point where, you know, it hurt. You follow, and then all this other stuff that wasn't even a known situation for you, you know, come up. That's just disease, just trying to weaken you. It's disease that's trying to keep you in, you know, with that pain. You know what I mean? So you can't function on the situation, you know. So I appreciate you guys listening to me and helping me tonight, you know, and I apologize for, you know, my speaker not being able to come on tonight, you know, but he will return, you know, and now I'm feeling, you know, much better. You follow what I'm saying? And hopefully, you know, this will pass soon enough, you know, but I still want to let you guys know that, you know, my first year anniversary is coming up and I really want to do something nice, you know, for it. Can y'all hear me? Let me know that you can hear me. I don't even think they could hear me. Kimberly Ann, you can't hear me? Oh, good, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm just, you know, I was just a little surprised, you know, a lot more other people didn't come back on. I don't even know if they could see it. I don't even know how that part works with it, you know, but y'all got one, hey, Val, what's up, girl? You know, I started to call you tonight, man. I needed you to sit on the couch with me. You know, if I got one, that's all I need. You know what I'm saying? But I got a whole handful of you guys. You know, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna be putting together, my first anniversary for this. You know what I mean? I really want to make it special, and I really want to make it great. You know what I mean? And because I appreciate everybody, and if everybody can come, I have some a lot of Let me go to see if I can take this too. I can't. I don't even know how to do it on here, watching this thing like this. But anyway, I have rewards that I want to give out. I have gifts that I want to give out. You know what I mean? I'm going to have 5 speakers, you follow, and I want to mix the speakers. I want to have pastors there. I want to have, people who have stopped on their own. I already have these people lined up. You know what I mean? People who has dealt with this disease and addiction in differently than I have. You know what I mean? I want to try to get people young and old. You know what I mean? And, to show that it doesn't discriminate, and different creeds, different, any and everything. So I'm working hard on it. And, far as giving an event, y'all know I know how to do that very well. But this is special. This is really special, to me and to my heart, and I want to make it meaningfully and special, and when I get my head into something, like what I'm dealing with, it makes me, it kind of build me up, it give me more strength, you know what I mean? And it makes me, think pretty much, you know what I mean? And put that artistic mind together, on what I want to do, and how I want to do it. All of you that are on here, I definitely want to see you guys. You know what I'm saying? I know I disconnected live by, what wasn't meant to be done, but I thought that my charger was actually charging it, even riding home from work. And I guess it wasn't, and I know I had some charge on it, but I didn't know it was that little bit of charge, that it would cut off, during the live, so I apologize to you all for that. Now y'all see I got a little bit of charge on it now, you know what I mean? But I don't think there's any sense more to go to live or back on the phone again. I'm fine with just who's on here now, and I hope y'all seen, Jody Out Loud. Y'all gotta check her out. She's on Monday. She big with it, y'all, and she recognized Tracy Allen living in my truth, you know what I mean? And she got hold of me, I went on her live, and I share on her live and everything, and she got hold of me, and she wants me to come on her podcast, which I'm going to do in like it's going to be like a couple months, but I'm definitely, going to go on. These are the rewards that God bless you with, to take it further and move it further. Most people be talking about, girl, you got to get paid for live. You got to do this. Look, it ain't about that. It's about getting the word out. It's about connecting. You know what I mean? About time you get paid on a live anyway, y'all, you going to pay out on the live. You follow what I'm saying? So, I'm not even interested in all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like that. I'm going to stay dealing with where God placed me and where I'm at, and continue to do what I'm doing. That's more than money, to be honest with you. And I'm truly from the heart with that. You know what I'm saying? And, the first thing, people hear money is always money. Money is the root of all evil any damn way. You know what I mean? Shit, it could be good in some hand, and it can be bad, and it could be worse for you. You know what I mean? And it can be great for some. You know what I mean? But it's always money, 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 money. What about love, love, love? What about honesty, honesty, honesty? You know what I mean? What about helping people? You know what I'm saying? It costs me nothing. It costs me not 1 cent. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to ride off of this. off of worrying about getting some daggone money from Facebook. And they want to know all your damn information anyway. You know what I mean? I don't want to give it to them. You know, I want to give to you and to the still suffering and to the people that are willing to listen, you know, and willing to learn, you know, and share the word, you know what I mean, and come to understand the power of disease and addiction. You know, that's what I want to do, you know. So, I mean, that's what I mean. My head start clearing out when I start, you know, if I go through something, you know what I mean, and it gets real deep, my head will start, you know, thinking about other stuff, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, they give me that strength and brighten me up to the point where, you know, you need to fix this too while you at it. You know what I mean? You need to come to this too while you at it. You know what I mean? Because this is the most vulnerable, strongest time that is in a recovering addict's life. You follow what I'm saying? When we use our strength, we use our tools, you know what I mean? And we use, you know, the suggestions from others, you know, that got sober for me, you know what I mean? And taught me what I know, you know, and put me where I'm at, you know what I mean? So, and having that faith, you know, faith is big too for us, you know what I'm saying? You know, so that's what I'm doing right now. So my head will be pretty much a little bit all over the place, y'all. I couldn't even come in and change and put my Living for My Truth t-shirt on, and I forgot I left this down here since last week. I said I'm gonna have a heart somewhere, you know what I mean, other than here. You know, y'all know I love them hearts, and I don't even know how to do it on this thing. I only know how to do it on the freaking phone. Mary, why I keep saying Mary Almond is watching? Did you push that? Did you punch that in, Mary, all this time? It's on here like 9 times. I don't even think that this phone is connected. I see a heart. Who sent the heart? I don't think that this phone is even connected anymore with my iPad. That's what it is, the iPad. You know, so I'm going to try to, y'all, go back on live on my phone because it's still a little kind of early. And, you know, we usually get it in. Y'all think I should do that? Go back on the live? I'm at least going to go back and apologize, though, that the phone ran out of charge. You know, that's not cool. That's a little unprofessional there, you know. And I just want to thank everybody, you know, for being on, you know, and hanging in there with me. Yeah, I see your hearts, Kim. I see you, Stacy Love. They're starting to come back on now, y'all. Great. Stacy, thank you for so much tonight. You were really, you know, uplifting me and giving me awesome advice, you know, and I appreciate that. You know, faith is, you saying faith is real big in this walk of recovery. Absolutely. Faith is, you got to have faith, man. You just have to have faith, you know, and that's something that I didn't have, you know, at the beginning, you know, of my recovery. I had to learn that, and I had to learn what faith meant and what it is, you know what I mean, and where its place is supposed to be in my life, you know, and I have that today. Janice, thank you for coming back on, girl. My phone went out of charge, you know. That don't generally happen, but, you know, things happen, and it did. You know what I mean? So I jumped on my iPad, you know, so that I can hope, you know, that people, you know, will come back on as they are. Hey, sis, thanks for coming back on. I appreciate you, girl. My phone lost charge. That's why I shouted that out a little bit, you know, at the beginning, that it might do that. But I thought it was charging. You know what I mean? My head is so deep, you know, into, you know, those puzzle pieces that's all up there, man. It's floating all around, man. Matrix messing with me. Matrix messing with me, sister-in-law. And I'm not trying to pull the wrong pieces. You know what I'm saying? You know, and thanks for the help to y'all. Stacy Love, too. You know, to God be all of the glory. Yes, yes, yes. We need each other, Queen. Absolutely. And I'm glad you're there for me. And I'm definitely glad there for you. You know, hey, look, sister-in-law, you know, I feel you from my heart. You know what I'm saying? I always did, and I always will. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you following me. I appreciate you supporting me. You know, you are one of my biggest supporters. I wish you could make it down here to my anniversary, you know, because you are very deserving of some of the things that I'm going to do. You know what I mean? So we'll talk about that and see if we can get you down here. You know you don't need no place to stay. That's for sure. You know, marry you as well. You know what I mean? Hey, look, y'all need to shout Mary out. I'm trying to get Mary to come on here and sit down on the couch. You know what I mean? Mary has so much that I know that can, you know, help parents. You know what I mean? Who loves their loved ones so much. You know, Charnel, you would be a great one too, but Charnel is in Texas, everybody. You know, that's my sister-in-law, you know, and I love her to death. You know, Mary is just a friend, man. Mary is a friend. She's a beautiful person, very beautiful person. You know, this girl goes out her way for any and everybody. You know, I don't want to hear one day, Mary. I want to hear you coming. You know, and we sit down and we talk about the day. Linda, thanks for coming back on and watching. Thanks for your beautiful words and kind words that you were offering me. I'm sorry my phone ran out of charge. It's like this whole day was going just crazy. Disease is cunning, babbling, and powerful. And I know that. The devil is always working. You know, and I know that. And I know it was trying to interfere in all the love and all the, you know, the help and the kind words and the beautiful words, you know, and sending me love and the prayers and everything to try to get in the middle of it. But again, you see, I made a way. I got on the iPad, you know, and I'm going to go on most likely on another live later or, you know, and apologize for the inconvenience, you know. Linda, you too, you would make a great person to come on this live. You know, you have such a testimony. You have such God in you. You know, today we have come a long way and have made a lot of change in ourselves. God is great. He is good. And you know what? He connected us all back together for a reason. You know, and I truly believe that. You know, I hope that one day you can come on as well. You know, I asked my cousin Michelle as well, you know, because I need y'all. You know, I need y'all to help me put the part of this that you're great at. You know, and Lynn, you great at all of it. You follow what I'm saying? Of all of it. You know, and God gave us all this path for a reason. I truly believe that. You know what I mean? And I know if we just come together that we can help so many more people. You know what I mean? On the religious side, thanks Tammy for coming back on. You know, I you know me, I'm going to apologize. You know what I'm saying? Tammy, you will make a great person to come on here and speak as well. You know, you guys have so much God in you, you know, and you have so much change in you too that if somebody else heard that, I don't care how you want to put it or what you want to talk about, that's up to you. You know what I mean? But I do know that it will help somebody, you know, because y'all are inspirational to people. Just doing what you're doing. You inspire me 100%. You know, and you make me go hard. Y'all make me go hard, real hard. You know what I mean? Real hard. You know, and understanding my higher power. You follow? You need it. You need it in so many people's lives. You know what I mean? And I'm saying just not church people. You know, we need it in anybody who needs help. You know, that's why I open this live up to any and all, everybody. You know, any and all, everybody. God gave us the gift for a reason. You know, that's just me. It's just me talking, and that's what I feel. You know, and I'm proud of you, Linda. I'm proud of you. When I first saw you and I heard you speak, I was like, wow, that's my girl. That's Linda Curry. You know what I mean? That's my girl. You know, and see how God works through you. Made me believe in him even more. You know? So this is how, you know, this thing works. We pass it. We give it on to the next person. You know what I mean? For me, it's just no certain people. You know, everybody needs to get it. Everybody. You'd be surprised of the people who say that they won't want to listen. They right on this live listening. They right on this live. They're just not talking. You know what I mean? And if they can just come on, and don't talk, okay, that's cool, but you hearing. You know what I mean? And you listening. So you definitely, starting to understand and see things. You know what I mean? It all takes time. Nobody just recovers, overnight. We got to accept the fact that that's what we want to do, no matter how we do it. He said, to God be the glory. Absolutely. Absolutely. And know that I love you, girl. My heart really, really love you. I do. You've been, in my life for a long time and part of my life. So you're literally part of my story. You're part of my story. I just ain't told my whole story yet. It's so much. It'll come, though. It'll come. And you too, Stacy. I appreciate y'all. For real, man. Y'all help me so much. You just don't know. And you too, Mary. Because I see your strength, man. I see how you went from where you was to where you are now. Girl, do you know how many people need to know that and need to hear that so they can do it too? All of us are. Then you see, I got to say this, though. You see, I went on and got my hair done like yours. I meant to say that too. When I saw you. They said I wouldn't do it. I love it. I see why you get them. I love it. But I'm going to try to keep planting the seed. I'm going to continue to do it for as long as I can. That's every day, all day if I have to. And it's going to be once a week too. I just didn't feel like getting off live yet. That's all, y'all. You know what I mean? And normally, when we rammed up like that and get rammed up, we go till almost 9 o'clock, And I'm trying to do better on that potty mouth too. I've been doing great, but when I get angry and I get mad, it's like I ain't got no control of it. But I think I did good tonight. So I know I can get the control of it. That's what I'm saying. When I go through something and I deal with something, and I'm able to talk about it and get it off, you know what I mean? I hear, I'm listening at the same time. And at the same time, I'm feeling from my heart because I'm speaking from the heart. You know what I mean? And that thing, that's a great thing. That's a great gift to have and to be able to do, and turn out positive and make the rational decision, and for all that I was saying tonight, it's going to, just set the footsteps for me. You know what I mean? And I'm going to walk those steps like I walked them 12 steps. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to give it everything that I got, to get through this situation, and when the hearts is healed, all the parties, you know what I mean? I'll be able to, come back to this one day and, and just share about it. But right now, I just needed good listeners, you know what I mean? And good supporters, in my life right now. You know what I'm saying? And, I say this, man, anybody can beat drugs, and fight this disease. It ain't nothing any stronger that you can't fight. That's how I see it. It's been an honor, y'all. I appreciate y'all so much. Stacy, you saying planting the seed brings forth deliverance. And that's what this live is designed to do. I appreciate that. And that's exactly what I feel, the same thing. God has an amazing plan for all of us. You know what I mean? And I truly believe that. I thanks for y'all hanging in there with me. You know what I mean? And praying for me. And your advice is just 100. You know what I mean? And to let y'all know, it definitely helped. It definitely helped. I'm going to pray hard tonight. And get out of my head is what I'm going to do. Because, see, I'm full with you all. I'm full with all of what I needed. You know, so I'm going to close the door on the thought of thinking about that thing anymore. You know, if there's any bad thoughts, you know, negative thoughts that even come to mind, you know, I can't carry that weight, you know, and you guys have helped lift it. And I really appreciate that. You know, and I know it's probably banging through your mind. I don't know what you're going through, but you know it got to be something heavy. It's just something shocked me, shocked my world. Girl, it's like, goodness gracious, you know. But I have tools, I have a God, you know, and I have people like y'all, and I'm able to listen and I'm able to hear, you know, and I understand it all that's going on. You know, I just wouldn't let, you know, believe certain things, but reality is reality, and it is what it is. You know, so I got to let the weight go. You know, I got so many notes now, y'all, that I can just pop in this book and just, you know, start talking about and sharing about it. Thanks, Mayor. You know, I didn't know you could see your hearts on these faces when y'all do that, when we do the hearts. You know, I'm telling you, I'm learning something all the time, but I'm catching up. I'm catching up with this thing, you know. Again, guys, you know, whenever you feel or you think you want to, you know, come on and just sit on the couch. Just come sit with me. You know what I mean? You know, get on live. I was told to do this video. You remember the Muslim brother that was on here? He was telling me, you know, how I can do this, what they call it, the video thing. You know, I like this. This is what I like. I like the live because it adds more people, you know, and I want as many people to join on this live as I can get, you know, or to watch this live. Zoom, that's what he was saying, the Zoom thing. I like it, you know, but for this, I think this is the perfect platform. I really do. I think this is the perfect platform for getting this word out. You know what I mean? I don't want to make it personal, but I do know in NA and AA, you know, certain things that they are, you know, that is confidential, you know, on a lot of things, you know, that being said, and they don't exploit the program out like that, basically, you know, but this is not their program. This is mine. This is what I choose to do. You know what I mean? And I just share their program because I know that it's good for people, you know, and the 12 steps and all is just open to anybody. It's like the Bible. You know what I'm saying? You know, so, you know, God said, give it back and give it back the best way that you know how, you know, and for the best of the still suffering and the people, you know, and this is what I find to be a perfect way to do this, you know, so, what is this, Stacy Love? You saying, you know, this live bless and help me too. This helped me to continue my journey with my recovery along with doing the will of, I think you tapped it, of God. Love you, God love you, be encouraged, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much, honey. Kisses goes back to you. Chanel, the devil is busy, but God got you, sis. You know, so happy you are in a better place now. Thanks. Love you a lot. You know that. Linda, I pray that God will give you the peace that suppresses all understanding in Christ Jesus tonight. Rest in him. Whatever is weighing on your heart, give it to God. Appreciate that, Lynn. That's exactly what I'm going to do, you know. And I'm going to come off now, y'all, and relax, you know what I mean, and pray, you know, and just give God the glory. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go off tonight. I appreciate y'all coming back on. I needed you. God knew I did, and he sent his angels. I'm telling you, he sent his angel. He sent his people. I tell you, they can't tell me God ain't good, you know, and real. So I'll see y'all next Wednesday. You know, God bless. Okay? I see you.